Oh, here we are again now, and it's like no time has passed. Gazing out upon the sunset as it sinks into the night. Many times it seemed as though a given day might be our last. Face to face with certain death, it's somehow coming out alright. I don't think that we have any cause to lament, but there's quite a lot of thrilling intent, thrilling intent, thrilling intent, thrilling intent.
You all have barely enough time to sort of recognize exactly what's going on in front of your faces. Your eyes slowly scan the wall up, and you catch this thing. A gigantic, almost missile-sized sword floating next to it. The light of the dying sun reflecting off of the various filigree adorning their body. The sword begins to move, deceptively slow at first, but quickly picks up momentum. It touches down, actually, sort of towards the exterior of the city, and then begins to pick up speed towards you.
Incoming!
This sword starts to just fly at you. Its gigantic form cutting up the dirt behind it, almost with a wave of wind. The rocks splattering to the sides. Indian manages to dive back and out of the way. Marcus, this thing hits you, and Gregor, you prepare for the incoming attack, but it manages to just fly sort of past Marcus. You get caught with a metal broadside and mostly caught up in the sheer gale force. And Marcus, like a paper on the wind, you fly into the distance.
Oh, good. I think it probably caught on his cape just a little bit, and so he's spinning rapidly and probably tangled up in cloth as he flies.
Marcus, you fly somewhere into the city. Gregor, tell me how you resist or stop this incoming blow.
Behind me, does it look like Mercy and Harlock are prepared to dodge?
Yes.
Alright.
Oh, that's good.
In that case, Gregor's going to try and jump over the sword. Gives a little hop, but I think he underestimates the sheer wind power of this thing. It blew Marcus off his feet, but that's not that hard.
That's not saying much.
So, you leap your way into the air, and you catch and almost... The sword does have this impressive weight to it. You think you dodge it, but you actually... It almost feels like getting your foot caught on, like, some sort of down current in the middle of water. You're caught within the wind, and you don't really hit the sword. You more tumble across the top of it, roll along its length, and then hop and pop and hit the ground. The sword flies back, and then sort of like takes this long snaking path, looping up and over the wall, and rejoins the creature. Then they bounce. Wow. Going after Marcus.
No, why?
You think there's any chance this is a friendly angel?
Maybe it's attracted to sparkling generally.
Gregor, are you all right? We have to go to Marcus now.
Yeah, I'm fine. Let's go.
Harlock has already gone in that direction.
Marcus, you hit the ground and you roll a bit. You don't know where your friends are, but you see a looming figure in the distance.
Oh no.
They're coming after you.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. I think seeing this creature, like, just looming, and getting ever closer, Marcus is going to panic, look around, and sprint behind this junk pile.
Okay, you hide behind the junk pile.
Pringling underneath some old cardboard and a bit of scrap lumber. Marcus attempts to become one with the trash.
Are you just hoping that they pass, more or less, at this point?
Pretty much, but like, also preparing to make a break for it in case it does happen to,
They start to float over, almost like this unusual glide, like they're suspended in the air almost by strings. They move past, and you try to still your breath as best you can. You do your best to make your presence as small as physically possible, blending into the shadows, blending into the bits of wood. Marcus, in the immediate, you are wood.
I am wood.
And then...
What kind?
Oh yeah, what kind?
I knew it. Probably, like, I think plywood, because then I just have to, like, try wood hard enough. That doesn't really work.
Marcus, you meditate. You become the plywood. Now it is time to try wood.
Hopefully you don't die wood.
Oh no.
Marcus, you're like, you're scrambling around, and you start to like, yeah, I'm good. I am the wood. You start to move your way out, splintering, crawling, crackling, moving as wood would move. And then you think, wait a second, hold the fuck on a second. Wood doesn't move. Wood certainly doesn't make this much noise either. And you throw aside your disguise, almost with a panicked yelp. You move forward, but you're suddenly caught by something that was dramatically left behind. It was floating through the air, almost like a separate tail or the appendage of this creature. You realize...
Is it a giant flying toaster?
It's a giant flying sword. It's immediately next to you. Marcus, you are speared by the thing and driven backwards into this cage, which rolls backwards across the ground and comes to a rest in the corner over here.
What is this vaudeville bullshit? Is there, I imagine, was he like punted through the door of the cage or something, kind of?
Yes, and it dramatically slammed shut behind you.
God damn it.
You bounce
It's
around the
probably
cage
a good
for a
thing that
second.
the lock is like a separate mechanism, right? That's probably not engaged just by the closing of the cage.
I've got some bad news about the status of these bars.
Oh,
and
is
how
it
bent
bent
they
as
are.
fuck?
Yeah, it's bent as fuck. Marcus, you're trapped in a bird cage right now. Anyway, everyone else.
I prefer the term, like, strategically encased in a bird cage. Thank you very much.
You don't take a wound, but you are in a tight situation. Everyone else manages to catch up at this point. Inian, at some point, has managed to change into her wizard robe.
Things are getting serious.
I must say, that's very impressive.
Oh, thank you very much.
I'm glad that's what you chose to do with your time.
Did anyone hear that? I think I heard something.
Over here!
Oh.
Marcus waves.
Marcus is stuck in a cage.
Well, that means he's not dead.
I'm planning.
You want to let us in on what your plan is? Because from here...
I'm still working on it. You'll be the first to know. My plan is first, you guys should get its attention, please.
I don't think he meant to get in a cage.
No, that seems like a positively terrible position to be in.
Hey, beautiful! Over here!
Yeah?
Oh, hi.
Harlock is the only one who didn't look.
Oh my god.
Oh boy, hey Gregor.
Yeah?
The creature turns around and begins to float this way.
Alright, that's fine. Bring it on, round 2. I know about your windy sword now.
Alright, everybody scatter. We can't all get hit at once. That's how it works.
Scatter, scatter, scatter! Indian runs in this direction.
It's at least highly unlikely that we can all get hit at once. Good idea.
Mercedes starts sprinting this way, and you notice that as she's running, she keeps spawning hammers and just whipping them as fast as she can. On impact, they turn to ash and reappear in her hands as she's going.
That's so cool.
Alright, big lady, keep your eyes on me. Come on.
Okay.
I have to focus on Indian.
I was hoping Mercedes would answer.
So...
And immediately as Harlock gets into this building, she's just gonna take off her backpack and just dump everything on the floor.
As the creature moves in, Gregor takes a deep breath and sinks down into the ashen stance.
Ooh.
Ready to use his new stance to counter whatever is going to come at him.
Excellent. Okay, so they lift up their sword and they take aim and they drill it down through the air, almost at a 45-degree angle. This thing's coming straight at you. Gregor, tell me how you reverse this situation and turn it back on them.
All right. Gregor feels the primal ashen fury welling up inside him, and instead of dodging the sword, he runs towards it and takes a dive. And he dives right under it, narrowly missing him, and now the creature is exposed on the side. He takes a quick step and rockets forward, bringing the glaive into the back of the creature.
Excellent. You manage to stab them and sort of drive them downwards towards the earth. With a great impact, this creature of almost porcelain and alabaster hits the ground and lets out a silent cry. Gregor, you force this creature to the ground, where it lies for a second, and then one of its arms sort of reaches back, contorting unnaturally, and it loses some of its form. And some of almost that filigree runs down its arm, almost like honey or nectar, wrapping itself and binding the arm into a grotesque shape, and you don't have time to react. It whips around, and the area around you is filled with 1,000 cuts. And Gregor, in a moment, you don't remember when, you're back, lying in a heap on the ground. Your body is covered in cuts. Harlock, inside the building, you see this. The entire building sags, screaming against the weight of the attack. The windows are driven and shattered inwards. But you're safe. You're in the area behind the door, which seems to have mostly absorbed the attack. Mercedes, on the other hand, this attack strikes you almost the same as it does Gregor. Admittedly, you're a little further out. There was more space between you and it, but that almost makes the lashing aspect of it hurt a little bit more. However, the wind that it seems to have kicked up has ignited a flame around you. You now burn with a power granted to you by it. And Mercy, if you would.
Yeah, no. Mercy, probably some of this debris gets lit on fire just because of that. Mercy shakily gets back up. Oh, God, Gregor! She is going to quickly run over, but as she does, you see that in her hand, something two-handed appears. It's in blacksmithing, there's a thing called a wedge hammer, where it's basically just this big, gaudy axe used to split metal.
Wow.
And as she's running, she spins and hucks it horizontally at the creature, letting it wedge as deep as it can. All right, I'm gonna take this one for you. Some of it, that's a lot. Mercy is going to use her empathy to take one wound away, but give her one.
Thanks, Mercy.
Just, Gregor, I think it might be wise to take cover for just a moment.
It doesn't need a sword.
That reminds me, where is that right now?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh boy, who do we want to jump to next? Let's ask you. Hey, Marcus, how's life in the cage going?
I think Marcus's plan right now, probably have included the fact that Harlock has entered the building just south of him.
Yeah.
I think he... Yeah, no, I think I would throw an Eldritch Blast, attempting to both blow away, like, whatever portion of the door is stuck of the birdcage, and to then additionally have it bust a hole in yon wall.
Okay.
I think this building took a beating from the angels, so you might not need that.
So...
Well, in that case...
No, you're good.
Yeah.
So, Marcus, you reel back and Eldritch Fire begins to crackle around your hand, almost making the bars sort of start to melt a little bit and run, and you throw it. It burns through the cage and blows a hole in that wall.
Yes! Okay. Whew, coming out of my cage. And I'm doing... real good. He steps into this house.
Yeah, you emerge into the building. Harlock, tell me what you've got cooking over here.
Oh, hey, Marcus. Welcome to my box warehouse.
Oh, hi. I didn't realize you were a property owner.
I am not. Be a dear and start dumping everything you can, because I'm trying to figure out what we've got to work with.
Can do. Marcus starts whipping lids off of all of these assorted crates.
And if you actually look at Harlock, Harlock is drawn plans on the floor, and she's trying to come up with something.
Oh my god.
So I guess there's like a bunch of kind of like trade goods and raw materials in a lot of these?
There is. This is sort of like this is a storage house used by the nobility in the city. This is full of expensive goods, expensive wares, stuff that they want to transport to personal villas, etc.
What's in the fancy chest?
It's full of a mixture of things. Silvers, tablecloths, all that fun stuff. Wigs. Lots and lots of wigs.
Oh, good. I was hoping for wigs.
Like fancy powdered wigs?
Fancy powdered wigs, indeed.
Perfect. Marcus slams one over his head and yells, "Harlock, catch!"
Thank you.
Tosses a wig her way.
And I assume this is alcohol in these canisters?
I don't know what else it would be.
More wigs.
Looking at the rest of these wigs, Marcus has a ponderous thought. Hey, Harlock, you know about dust explosions, right?
Sure do.
Do you think we could use this wig powder to maybe jumpstart a little something? And
sure can.
Maybe use some alcohol to set
Dust
it off?
fire explosions are my third favorite type of explosion.
What are your first two?
I'll tell you about them when they come up.
I think everything else here will be very useful as shrapnel, too.
Okay, so Inian, after preparing a spell, kicks open the door and is going to take aim and fire at the creature. There's nothing actually particularly fancy about what she's doing, just a good old-fashioned fireball. It whizzes through the air in this ugly, oily arc and strikes the creature, and there's this violent detonation in the middle of it. Gregor and Mercy, you are covered in little bits of, scattered stone as the rumble begins to leave your ears. The creature, at least nominally, seems to have not particularly enjoyed that. Gregor, you watch as this fire begins to lick around it. It floats through the dissipating smoke, the heat almost causing its form to shimmer. And you realize, at least for a moment, you lost track of where that sword was. And you are caught by the broadside of it and forced backwards. And you and Mercy both slam back into the wall of the building where you are temporarily pinned.
Mercy slams into the wood, and you see there's a puff of fire as well, just because it's essentially the same thing as when you let the bellows go into the forge. There's a puff of ashes, and she hits the ground, but immediately takes a step forward, and with a puff of ash and embers, hurls this massive hammer, a good, God, was that 50 feet?
At least.
Yeah, no, she has to spin in order to get that momentum and actually loses her footing and falls to her hands and knees. But you see this hammer and just slam into the wedge. Where is it on the creature? It's sort of
wedged in the upper shoulder region. So, yeah, go for it.
Man, so that was like an actual Olympic-style hammer throw, huh?
Essentially, yeah. It slams into the wedge and digs it even further. You see that the sledgehammer actually disappears, but the wedge remains. It seems that Mercy is saying focus to keep it there, hoping that maybe it'll have more difficulty telekinetically controlling the sword. She has no idea how this thing operates. She's never seen this thing before.
Okay. So, oh boy. Yeah, you managed to sort of cleave through it, significantly wounding the creature once more. It's driven backwards. It falls backwards and the sword sort of slackens against you. It falls and clatters to the ground, actually. You're released from your compromising position. It moves backwards, and it gets to do its thing. It is going to lash out unthinkingly against the nearest targets here.
Oh, shit.
The creature lurches backwards and honestly getting severely wounded. Its fucking remaining arm contorts and beats the shit out of the building once again. Harlock, you manage to dive to the side, mostly preserving yourself. You take a little bit of damage, but you're mostly okay. Marcus, you are fully eviscerated and tumble backwards over the crates.
I was not expecting a big punch.
It stumbles back through the hole and looms above you.
Marcus has been clapping wigs together this entire time, and the room is thick with wig dust.
Marcus, I appreciate you allowing me to use you as bait, because you're 10 times more alluring than I ever could be.
It was not exactly intentional, but you're welcome.
So, actually, if you look at the room now, it's absolutely covered in alchemical runes that Harlock has now scribbled all over the place. There's dust in the air. There's alcohol spilled all over the floor. And what Marcus will soon realize is actually there's a mechanical cinch kind of attached to both of them. Harlock kind of sneakily did that while they were in there. And what she's going to call for is she's going to call for Mercy, who she was hoping was still out there, to hit the ground because she assumes that she's made of fire right where they left each other. So, like, right on this path over here. Mm-hmm. Because she set up kind of a fuse to light this place on fire.
Very cool.
So the sword falls to the ground, and you see the angel sort of descend backwards into the other building. And Mercy, you hear that call from Harlock to ignite this line of gunpowder.
Oh, gee, all right, I'm on it.
Meanwhile, Marcus is doing prestidigitations to hold the beast's attention.
Yep.
Oh. Sparkle,
hey,
sparkle.
Marcus?
Yeah.
Do you think you can make some kind of wall? Because we're about to be in a cage.
Go around the corner and there's a hole that we can get out of. Go, quick, now.
Oh, no, we're going out that hole. Because as soon as Mercy sparks that fuse, we are both going to get cinched right into this cage.
Oh, you still want the wall despite that. Yeah, that's fair, that's fair. Okay, quick, into the cage. Into the cage. Marcus rushes out, gets back into the cage that he was just trapped in, and using that as a framework, I think he's going to, weave a kind of shadow wall around the outside of it, and making it as thick as possible.
Excellent. Mercy, do your thing.
Yeah, Mercy not wanting to waste too much time because she knows she's not that fast. Yeah. This debris was lit on fire earlier. Yeah. So as she runs, she grabs a handful of it and just hurls as much of the burning debris at the area they were before. But she still runs towards it just in case that doesn't work.
Mercy, you managed to, once again, almost like Olympic level hammer toss this piece of plywood down. It hits the edge of the gunpowder and starts to ignite it, and it moves along. Every little lick of fire progressing along this alchemical mixture, it burns a plethora of different colors, beautiful blues, purples, as it sparks and travels into the building. To everyone else, that appeared to be just a humble box warehouse, but to Marcus and Harlock, they turned it into a devastating trap. The dust explosion detonates, and it is less this burning pyroclasm and more just this burst of percussive force.
Don't forget the industrial alcohol that's contained in at least one of those barrels.
Pyroclasm. A little bit of chemical fire rains down on the area as the entire building is just destroyed in the detonation.
Harlock, that was fucking incredible.
We make a pretty good team.
I'd say we do. I sure hope that thing is dead.
Are you ready to go for a ride?
A ride where?
With a burst and a sound, your cage is blasted physically through the wall.
Very well.
Let me just...
A ride inside.
You two roll through what appears to be a tailor shop, and then roll out across the ground, bouncing a few times, landing in a pile of books.
Ooh, wait, books. I thought this was a tailor shop.
It is. They're allowed to read.
But just like a loose pile of books on the floor? Is this anarchy?
No wonder this place went to ruin.
Yeah, no, they clearly had it coming.
You, almost like you wait for your ears to clear. Like that blast of force was a lot. You've got a second.
There's the tinnitus.
You don't know where the creature went, but, yeah, you also don't know what's going on with your friends either.
Oh man, we should probably get back out there and see what's up with Gregor and Mercy. I think I saw Gregor get hit by some big attack, but I couldn't see the aftermath.
Yeah, it didn't sound good.
Marcus, you're not doing too good.
Oh, right. Also, Marcus coughs up blood.
Harlock tries to hold him up.
Okay, thank you. My legs went all spaghetti on me.
And let's just hope that it was vaporized and we didn't just alert the entire tower of our presence.
Oh, fuck, I wasn't even thinking about that.
Mm-hmm.